Hi, Claire Wasserman here, founder and host of Ladies Get Paid, a podcast, newsletter, and coaching practice dedicated to helping you activate your potential and get paid what you're worth. Today's episode features a coaching session with Shay, a mom with ADHD who's passionate about creating a resource website for families wanting to explore the outdoors with their kids. Shay has a wealth of knowledge and hilarious misadventure stories from her own experiences, but she's struggling with time management while parenting young children, plus the executive function challenges that come with ADHD, which I know well since I also have it. In this coaching session, I talk Shay through practical strategies for content creation, establishing a sustainable workflow, and growing her platform without getting overwhelmed. This episode is for you if you are balancing multiple responsibilities, pulled in different directions, dealing with focus challenges, or simply struggling to turn your passion into something more. I promise this will offer actionable insights to help you take that first step. Let's listen in. You said that you're really passionate about a business idea that you have, but you have some limiting beliefs that are keeping you frozen. You wrote, mainly, I have no mental space for something new while being the primary parent of two young kids, and my combination type ADHD won't allow me to be my own boss because of my executive function shortcomings. You also wrote in that you got super reinvigorated after watching my free webinar. Yay. Even noticing a specific niche I could target. And you know that if you could create time and discipline, you could do this. You also wrote that you're back at a previous job on a short-term contract and you have no work lined up after because you, quote, want to force myself to be outside of my comfort zone so that I will move forward out of a need to earn income. All right. Lots that we can focus on here, but tell me, A, how did all of that make you feel when hearing it? And B, any updates since you last wrote that in?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, there's going to be some background noise with the baby playing with blocks. But yeah, I'm like, oh, I sure wrote in a lot there in that little chunk. That was very much, I don't even know if I could put that in words again right now. I think that caught me at a perfect moment. Yeah, that is still the culmination of everything. I'm still at my previous job with a hard stop around Christmas. And yeah, I'm just started dabbling in other part-time work and yeah, because I really want to do this. I don't know if it could actually make money. And I don't know at the beginning if I care that it makes money because now I just came off of parental leave. So we're pretty sure that we can make ends meet, right? Like we can cover our monthly costs right now with the income coming in. So I almost feel like this is a great time to explore this opportunity yeah, but it's very tight. So yes, I am still in that position, but I have at least made the website live, even though there's no content on it. And I also, after your webinar, I got an accountability buddy who is also starting her own business. And so she and I check in with each other and have been trying to move each other forward like on a monthly basis. And I think she's actually the reason the website is live because she knows way more about designing a site than I do. So I'm moving a teeny bit and I keep telling people about it and I'm still passionate about it. So I was worried about with my ADHD, I was really worried that this was going to be like a little passion project that would very quickly dissipate. But it's been over a year now that I've been curious about it and I keep telling people about it. And so I'm very encouraged by myself that I still am excited about this idea.
Great. And I love when people tell me that they are telling others about their idea because I think the best thing we can do for ourselves is to make it as real as possible without going all in on it just yet, right? You haven't invested a bunch of time and money, but you're pulling it from your brain into the universe by, again, sharing it with others and this accountability buddy. Quick question. If I could wave a magic wand, what would that wand do for you to make your dreams come true? What obstacles in your way right now? Could be many of them, but if I'm waving this wand, poof, these things change, transform, and you are full-time in this business. What would you have me do? Grant, I'll be your genie right now.
Wow. Okay. If I was full time in this business, I think number one for me, full time, I do not believe in a 40-hour work week. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of it. I don't like that. I don't want to give 5 days of my life for the rest of my working career for 2 days. I think it's silly and I don't want it. So full time for me would be if you could wave your magic wand, dedicated hours and dates of childcare, which is coming in the near future. I would have my space of childcare that is always mine. It is dedicated. and that I could work on my website and these resources that I want to create. I guess if that magic wand was waved, my website would be live with a ton of free resources available for people with kids. And I would, yeah, that site that I would know how to work a website too, and like could actually make progress on my own would be very helpful.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I think in my ideal world, when somebody came onto the website, it would be like that. Oh, yeah, noise coming now. When somebody logged onto that website, it would have one of those, oh, put in your email address and here you'll get these free resources coming to you for the next month or whatever it was. And that there would be something on offer that people could purchase.
Okay.
It'd be really great. And I have a few ideas for what that could be, but yeah, I think I really just want all this information that is in my head. It's really important to me to share this
Yeah.
with
Okay.
people. I want people to have the resources that I have in my brain because I
Mm.
think it's really important and I think it's really useful.
Okay. Tell us what it is that's in your brain that you want people
Okay.
to know.
So I want to start a resource, like a resource website and a blog and like with for resources for people who raise kids or want to be outdoors with kids. So
Hmm.
it's all related to yeah, just being outdoors, hiking, camping, backpacking, like just spending more time with kids outdoors because it's so beneficial. And a lot of people are a little bit nervous. And then so I found out that my niche after joining the
Yeah.
webinar was actually that I have a lot of really funny bad things that have happened to me outdoors with kids. So I have a lot of really hilarious like poop stories to share. And I think that people would find them beneficial and funny. And I think it's something unique because I've just had so much trial and error being outdoors with my kids. And that is a fun thing to share with people. So, anyways, there's my little niche that I would love to put on the website. Yeah, that's what it is.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you a couple more questions and then I'll dive into some next steps we can take together here.
Sure.
Purchase product. Okay. What do you have a sense of what that might be?
Yeah, I really like, I don't know if you know the author J.L. Collins, the fire movement guy. He's an older guy. He wrote, so J.L. Collins started this blog that for his daughter, because he was a financier, he was all into money. And so he wanted his daughter to know how to manage money when she got older, but didn't want to hear about it then. So he put it all in a blog for
Mhm.
her, and then people wanted the information. So he compiled it into a book.
Mhm.
So my idea was like, okay, if I'm going to put all this information out on the website for free, I would love to. Here's all the information about
Mhm.
babies is compiled into this book. All the information for toddlers is in this book, and all the
Ah,
one for like older kids is in this one. The information's all there free on the website if you want it, but if you would like to pay for this information in a concise way, here is the book or ebook for purchase.
okay, great.
What's my plan? But I really liked the idea of everything being available for someone for free if that was the point they were at, because that's the most important part right now to me is just sharing the knowledge and
Mhm.
then maybe it'll
Now, currently, what's your process for all these ideas that you have in your head? Do you put them anywhere?
every time something else funny happens to me or I think of a new idea, I have a big list on my phone.
Hmm.
And then I've been going to the website and plugging in a bunch of drafts.
Okay. Okay, so what I'd like to talk to you about, so I want to validate this is an awesome idea, and I can totally see this resonating on social media as well. All of your funny stories absolutely lend themselves to, if you're comfortable, video content. So whether it's TikTok or Instagram Reels, you'd be putting your resources out there, your stories out there, and you could leverage your social to then have people sign up for your email list and then funnel that into some kind of paid product down the road. But you've already explained a bunch of different parts of a funnel that you naturally want to do, which is awesome because sometimes people come to me and they have a business idea, but have a lot of resistance around creating content to help get that business idea out there. In your case, your whole concept is content. Like that's the point of what you want to do is share resources and stories. So you are well set up to make something that naturally gets people excited to participate. I think the big opportunity, I was going to say challenge, but let's just say opportunity is self-organizing. And you know this, right? You wrote that in about your combination type ADHD. And I smile because me too, but also who isn't being pulled in a million different directions here. So I think it's a matter of really looking at in a 7-day period, what can you reasonably block off time wise, protect that time, and then have a really tight priority list so that you're never sitting there in front of your computer going, wait, what am I working on again? Is this the right thing? A list of to-dos where you're like, if I follow these, and I'll go through them with you in just a minute, but if I follow these one foot in front of the other, Your main task right now is protecting the time to actually do it. And we can also talk about all the obstacles in the way of that. But based on what I just shared, does that sound like where you want to focus most? So on organizing your week, and then we can
Yeah,
talk about the to-dos?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's
Okay, so in terms of your current week, I know you mentioned things may be changing, but do you have any space and time during your current week that you can do things for yourself?
currently, or pretty soon, starting in the next month, my younger one will be in childcare 3 days a week.
Mhm.
And technically one of those I get to work from home for my job, which I have some flexibility with. So right now I really, what do I have? I guess in evenings and stuff too. Right? I have a partner who's often home in the evenings.
Mhm.
So there's pieces like I prioritize getting up to a workout class basically one evening a week where I
Good,
go leave everybody home and
good.
go. So if I can fit that in, time is somewhere. It's
Yes,
there.
I would take a look in the next week, really track as you're going through the day. Just write down where you're having pockets of time. So even if it's 20 minutes that you're lying down to shut your eyes, I'm not saying that you're trading that. Like, girl, we need to be resting too. But just any moments where you are not working for your paycheck or for your kids and your family, just make a note of it somewhere. So by the end of the week, you could really sit down and go, all right, it looks like on average, I have about 2 hours over the course of a week that I could spend on this. It tends to be in these chunks or whatever, because you may need to work with the existing blockers here. In an ideal world, we would be able to say, actually, we could create our ideal world in a sense. If you think that there are boundaries that need to be set, I can tell you right now at 3 p.m., I have to go stop my work. And I shouldn't say have to, but my wife said to me, I'm not going to primary parent for the rest of the day. I starting at 3 p.m. every day. You're on board. I used to finish at 5. She said, no, you're on board at 3. Both work with your pre-existing obstacles, but do think a little aspirationally here too. If there's anything that you could shift and move around that would give you more dedicated time blocks to be able to work on this, that would be my first suggestion to you. But let's say you can't, and it is what it is, and it's only going to be 20 minutes every day, with the exception of Saturdays. You could maybe do an hour and a half or something like that. Okay, great. You got to put that on your calendar and you have to protect it at all costs. This is no one can schedule an email or meeting with you, mommy shutting the door. Come up with a plan for
Yeah.
how it's going to be protected as well. Okay. After we do that, now it's all right, you're sitting down. What are we actually working on here? I think your main order of business here is to create a system in which you are systematically getting the ideas from your head into a place. So right now it's drafts in your website. And by the way, the website's fine. I am a personal, I just really like Squarespace because it's really well designed. Whereas the website you have now, there's no branding on it, or at least it like forces you to have the branding. Whereas if you go through Squarespace templates, and you write in, this is the kind of website I want to have. It's mainly a blog, and maybe the call to action is signing up for an email. They're going to present to you templates that are well suited for your needs, and they're gorgeous. And it's not very expensive, and there's great customer service, and they'll help walk you through it. So
Okay.
before you commit to the website you've already created, since it hasn't gotten out there yet, I would highly recommend you just take a quick look through Squarespace templates. Okay. And you can see demo sites for free and play around for 2 weeks without paying. So just take a look. It's going to do a lot of that design work for yourself, and it's set up to help you succeed, which is, in my mind, getting people into an email funnel. Okay.
Great. Okay. Yeah, it's on Wix right now. I'm assuming that because that was what somebody told me was the easiest. So this is good to know. I will look into that before.
Wix might be easiest, but Squarespace is easiest if you have an eye for design. And I do think it's important for pretty much every brand now. I don't think there's any one brand that doesn't care about design. I mean, maybe I don't know, like a lawn mowing company, but even them, brand is always a differentiator. And I do
Yeah.
think what you're putting out there, you matter. You are your brand. And by the way, that's a great thing. Like, I know we've met for about 20 minutes here, but I already can tell you're awesome to hang out with. So your vibe is the brand, right? And so we want something that represents you. And who knows, maybe you end up creating a little video that you put on the homepage being like, hey, I'm Shay. Welcome. Here's why I created this. Here's what I hope you get out of it. Sign up for my own email here and let's have fun with our kids together. Anything that just puts you front and center, I already have an instinct you're going to do really well because you
Cool.
have the personality for it. So that's awesome. But we got to get your ideas into a pipeline of content that is continually put out there. And it can be hard to write. I don't know how you feel about writing these blog posts, but taking a concept into a draft into editing it into actually publishing it, you'll only get better and faster at it the more you do it. But if you have a really hard time even getting started, let's maybe focus now for the next couple of minutes on how do we make this as easeful as possible for you. So
Yes.
currently, your process is you have a bunch of ideas, you put them in drafts, but they're not written yet. Or talk me through how you're currently doing it and how you'd like to do it.
Yeah, if anything, they're in little point form snippets of the highlights, like just the keys of what I wanted to make sure was included or the outline of the story. But I do not have, there is nothing to me. It has been, yeah, like you say, writing. It's been terrifying. Trying to get past the imposter syndrome of getting started on writing. Obviously, there's someone out there with better knowledge than me. Obviously, there's someone out there who's probably already doing this, but so I'm having a really hard time. Yes, like figuring out how to state it. And then you look at all the stuff that I don't want AI to write the articles.
Let me make a suggestion. I would consider a framework that you can always follow as something that you now are putting your thoughts into. So, for example, every post that you make, and this is just an experiment, by the way, it doesn't mean you have to commit to this for life, but it's like, all right, I'm going to challenge myself for 7 posts. The structure is this: I start with a story, a personal story, and then there are a certain number of takeaways from that story that I'm giving people. And so challenging yourself to see if all of the content ideas you've had so far, could they fit into that framework? And if the answer is yes, it's very liberating. It's almost like you created your own version of ChatGPT in a sense, right? Just guidelines, prompts that you can give yourself so that it doesn't feel like you're just filling out this endless empty page that's way too daunting and too much pressure on you. But there's something about, okay, if I'm responding to my own prompts that I've determined would be an engaging and relevant framework for what I'm trying to express here, I think you might find that things flow a little bit easier. Do you already have a sense of what that framework might be?
Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit different than the way I was thinking of it. So in my head, they were chunked out into 2 different things. So the one was the main, here are some resources. Like here's a packing list for going camping with a baby of this age. Like here's your hiking list for a day trip with a baby in a backpack versus a toddler. It was that. And then I had a separate, I was going to do a separate little, whatever, you click on the button and it's the different little page with the, like my adventure bloopers, like all my weird fails
Mhm,
with my
mhm.
kids. So to me in my head, they were meant to be separate, but
No,
not.
I love this. By the way, I love this. I think so my suggestion is exactly what you're responding to, which is come up with formats for yourself. And then, by the way, it doesn't have to be one format that you always follow. You could say, hey, I have 3 categories of formats. One is lists, one is stories. Let's be imaginative at this point of what are all the different frameworks that you could create for yourself. Then you select, all right, I'm going to commit to these 3 or 2 or 5 or 1 or whatever. And then we work through ways in which it could be easier for you to express yourself, which I think, by the way, it's voice memos. It's you
Right.
speaking out loud that into something like otter.ai, or I think Google even does this, where there's transcription services.
Okay.
I think you start with that and then you're editing your own voice as opposed to having to become some sort of a writer. Like
Yeah.
writing is a serious skill set that
Yeah.
requires so much blood, sweat, and tears that you just don't have time for right now.
Yes, exactly. Okay. I did not know things like that existed. That makes a lot of sense. Voice memos, and then is it Otter, like OTER?
Mhm. Yeah, OTER.ai, but also it's going to sound funny, but Google transcription.
Okay.
Because if I remember correctly, I also believe you could open up a Google Doc on your phone, speak into the Google Doc if you've clicked a certain button, of course. So open the Google Doc, click this button, speak, and it will transcribe it really well for you. And by the way, because I also have kids and work from home, I often do stuff like this when I'm on walks with them. So you don't have to only have this like dedicated time where mommy shuts her door and nobody can come in. Maybe that's for the time sitting in front of your computer and editing it. But I think get your ideas out, voice memo, voice to text, transcription into Google Docs. Challenge yourself to do, like I said, 7. So you're going to be posting 1 a day, but I'd love for you to bucket your days where you have the day where you get all the ideas out. You have the day where you're editing. You have the day where you're putting it into your website. You're having the day where you're putting it into the email, because each of those tasks require different mindsets, right? Different parts of your brain. It's very different to go out and be imaginative versus analytical, for example, right? And so when you're already somebody who naturally feels pulled in a lot of directions, let's just streamline this for ourselves as much as possible and but just batch task it, right? So like Monday, that's the day where all we're doing is voice to text, right?
Yeah.
Tuesday, we're only spending the time we've got, so maybe it's 20 minutes, but that's I'm going to just choose out of these all these ideas I have, which are the seven, and that may be too much. So which is the one that I want to dedicate to? Okay, next day I'm moving forward. But based off of all that, tell me, what are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I had never thought about it in that way, and that does help my brain a lot. I know on this day, that is my only task. That is a really hard time. I have a really hard time getting to that point of yeah, of making myself stop and figure out what the most important item is. So
Right.
yeah, knowing what would happen on what day is incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
That would actually be super helpful.
Yeah. And putting it in your calendar. I also have found, at least in my work, because I'm also feel very scattered, numbers really help me, which is ironic because I hated math growing up. But if you're giving yourself a goal of one post a day that you're going to be doing,
Mhm.
I would never want you to be writing and posting on the same day. Like way too much pressure. You don't have enough time for that.
Yeah.
So instead, your job right now over the next, let's say, month is to stack. Let's not even say a post a day. That sounds crazy. Let's do, what is it, 52 weeks in a year? Because that's a lot, 52 articles. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe right now the challenge is you coming up with 52 topics.
Yeah.
Don't speak or write any of it out right now. Just it's just topics. So maybe you're writing 52 topics. Oh shit, you got 100 topics. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Next task. Let's whittle it down to 52. All right. Next task. Let's start with the ones that you have the most easy time speaking into the stories out or whatever. Right. Okay. That's all we're doing. So maybe it's a math game here. You're just picking numbers and goals and saying, by this date, I am doing X number of content. And the goal, I think, would be to have as many of these not necessarily published right now, but in drafts, fully done, pretty much. Maybe they need a little bit of zhuzh, but like pretty much done. So you can spend most of your time creating video content based on those articles that you're posting on social media because
Yeah.
this website doesn't matter if nobody knows about it. I know a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there to hear it. Did it happen? In my opinion, no, it didn't.
Uh,
So I actually
yeah.
think once you get all of the content stuff in like pretty decent publishing ready to go, then I would take a look at it and go, all right, out of these articles that I want to post, challenge yourself to do 30 to 60 seconds in front of your camera and you're going to suck at it. And that's fine. Do it again. And don't be mad at yourself that you haven't yet posted because I think really the goal is to stockpile as much as you possibly can, both from the content editorial, but also the content on social, so that your day is really just spent managing what's already going out there, that the machine is churning. Again, you're never in the position of what do I post today or what is the decision I make today? You're just stockpiling. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, on the social piece of it. Can you
Yeah.
imagine pretty easily being able to create content out of the editorial stuff?
Okay, I think maybe the biggest wrench now to throw into it. I had no interest in being on social media. I'm not on social media personally, and
Yeah.
so I have no interest at all in doing. I want to make videos of myself. I don't want to make it a TikTok account. So I am having, yes, I thought I'm even curious. Can I just send people stickers with the website link on it, and then they'll eventually find it, and I don't have to be on social media. I currently, as it stands, I think my thought in my head where I feel more comfortable is like you say though, to stockpile. Yes, because I think I easily have 50 notes of things
Yeah.
I was going to write about. So I easily have a year's worth of content in that way. But I am very curious if there's other ways to do it that don't have to involve social media or me
Yes.
being on videos.
Yes, for sure, for sure. You would just be limiting the number of people who know about it, but that certainly doesn't mean you can't get the word out. In
Yeah.
my mind, it's all about partnerships. So
Yeah.
it would be about what other groups out there are doing similar things to you that by you giving them the ability to, I'm going to say license your content, but it doesn't need to be that formal. But if they were to put your content in their newsletter, so to speak, like that would be awesome. You would
Yeah.
then, of course, want to make sure you have an email set up so that there's when people come and visit your blog, they're able to stay in touch with you. So we can talk about setting up an email in just a minute. But I would maybe make a list of anybody who's doing something similar to you that you think could benefit from your content.
Okay.
And once you have some stuff up there, it would be reaching out to them and saying, hey, I'm offering my content for you for free if you would like to put it in your newsletter. And in exchange, if there has to be some kind of exchange, maybe you're doing a write up on them. Hey, if you admire the work they're doing or they're included on a list of resources, right? Maybe that's a good place to start. Anybody that you've ever recommended to somebody else,
Yeah.
maybe you should be reaching out to and ask for some cross promotion and say specifically, I'd love to be integrated into your newsletter and on social channels.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That
So
feels a lot
can,
more that feels a lot more the direction I think. And right now, at this stage
yes.
of my, that feels very comfortable. And that feels really cool to help build up other businesses. I like
Yes.
that.
Yeah. So that is one place to start. The question is like, how many blog posts do you need to have up? If you have a plan to consistently post, I would say have maybe 2 weeks worth of content up.
Oh, okay. That's it.
As long as it's always going up. It's
Okay.
not, oh, it's up and then I'm not sure what my schedule is. No, if I release them weekly or I release them 3 times a week or daily or whatever it is, um, that's okay. Listen, if this is somebody who like doesn't have any content really, they'll be thrilled. And start small, right? And start local. Anybody doing anything in your space doesn't have to be outdoorsy, but they've got the target group that should know about what you're doing and vice versa. They'll be
Yeah.
thrilled that you're
Yeah.
providing something that they'd normally have to pay for or
Great.
pay a person to do. I
Yeah.
do want to talk to you quickly though about setting up, an email newsletter. Are you subscribed to anybody else's newsletter?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. If there's anyone sending out a newsletter that you want to emulate, take pointers. I would
Yeah.
really encourage you also, by the way, to do research of people in your space. Just you really want to protect yourself though and not get down, not look at it and say, oh, they're doing this, so I shouldn't. Or nobody's you and nobody has your stories. Okay. They don't have your voice. They may not be in your area. There is something you can give that's different by the mere fact that you are a unique human being. Okay. So I normally would suggest you to go hardcore do research on people in your space, but because you've already expressed that you get a little nervous about why me or what do I have to offer, I don't want you to go down the path where you're setting yourself up to feel even worse.
Yeah.
But normally, I would say find people who are doing similar things and then take what you like from what they're doing and then do it your way. And so, same thing goes with an email newsletter. But let's start simple. Otherwise, this will never get started.
Yeah.
The newsletter is a way to let people know about what's new on the blog. So I would say check out convertkit.com. Although
Okay.
I think they've rebranded or they're in the process of rebranding to just Kit. But yeah, they still have their website up. So convertkit.com. That's the email provider that I use. Really like it. Go through their use cases. Same thing with Squarespace, right? Checking out templates. Check out templates on ConvertKit. You'll see all different kinds of people, artists, authors, bloggers, coaches, course creators, etc. So let's click on bloggers. Just check through. There's, I think, a free version, and you would use one of their templates. It's beautifully designed, and you're just going to put in, all right, here's the top blog post that you're recommending. Maybe you're taking a snippet of the blog post and putting it in there, and then that's it. So it's just people getting recommendations once a week of a thing that you have put together for them. And they'll be grateful for the reminder, right? They're busy.
Great.
So for you to be able to say, hey, just a reminder, here's what's new on the blog.
Yeah.
Then if you want to get fancier, you could do something that's only for newsletter subscribers, right? So
Right.
maybe they're getting an extra story in the newsletter that they're not getting on the blog or something, or maybe they're being told about a thing first or whatever. And do this with other people too. Like you'll feel not only more accountable, but you'll understand the impact you have on these people. So if it's not too much extra work, which it definitely is, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway, a meetup. So people in your area who want to hear from you saying, hey, let's all bring our kids, let's meet at the park or the playground or start with your kids' school. Those are the people who want to hear from you. And you've already established trust in the fact that you're a local person, right? You go to the school or whatever it is. I just think in this kind of work, for those of us who want to have impact on others,
Yeah.
can be very lonely. And I do think it's important from the beginning to incorporate ways in which you can actually feel your impact, not just intellectually understand it, but the people who are receiving or who should be receiving your content build this with them. And one way to do that is to host an event, a gathering. Seriously, it could be 5 people, and you'll be re-energized by your idea.
Yeah.
And they may also say to you, I really wish it would come in this format. Like, I'm too busy. So
Yeah.
less is more. Also take the pressure off of yourself for anything super long form. Maybe each content is really short, and that's okay. Just know that whatever you put out there, it's going to be the worst version that it'll ever be because it's the first time you do it.
Yeah.
Even now, like me talking to you through this, like this is the worst coaching I'll ever do
Yeah.
based off of this conversation, right? Like I can only get better as I do this.
Yeah.
So the same thing with not only the kinds of content you're putting out there, but your process. So pay attention as you are going through this challenge of, okay, fifth batch tasking my days to only do certain kind of work, whittling it down to only one task, right? That's an experiment. You're going to try it. You're going to try it for, I'd say, give yourself 2 weeks to try anything new.
Yeah.
And then you're going to reevaluate and say, was this the most easeful way to do this? I know work feels hard and I know I'm scattered, but it should never feel like it's pulling a ton of energy from you. You should be feeling a push and pull, right? Where you're giving energy, you're getting energy, you're giving energy and energy. It's not a suck. So if anything ever feels like it's a total suck, it's not the right way to be doing it or not the right thing to do it. And that's totally fine. This is an experience of experimentation. We've only got about 5 minutes left. So tell me any thoughts, feelings, or obstacles in your way to getting this new mode of operating going.
Let's see. No, I've
That's a
been
lot. There's a
furiously
lot there.
writing. Yes, I've been very furiously writing notes. Yeah. I feel really good to have a bit more of a process. And it does feel like a process. And it also just feels like I hadn't quite connected the pieces of how I do the work and then how I also promote the work. And I think in my head, I thought I had to have anything that was in my head, I thought I had to have it on the blog now to look established and to look reputable. Like I thought, like you're saying 52, I thought that should all be on there before I launch it. That's really comforting to hear that I don't. And also the accountability of continuing to add to it. The outlines are there. If I have the date when I edit or go through and do the voice to text, and the next time I edit that, if I know that I'm trying to even just get one out a week or get one to a point where I'd feel comfortable with it going out into public, that's hugely takes a huge weight off.
Mhm.
And I just really appreciate the last thing you said, that if it feels like it sucks, then that's not what you want to be doing.
No,
And
no.
it feels like even in my spare time, like what I'm taking courses related to this, I'm paying to do things that would add to this for fun. So it really, in my head, it does not feel like it will suck. So it's just encouraging to
Yeah.
find out what to go next.
Yeah. And I would say the only thing to have kind of not perfected because nothing ever should and can be perfect, but something that you should feel really solid on is your process before you start promoting. So you don't need to have all the things out there. Listen, I started Ladies Get Paid with one event and no plans to do anything else. It was just, I need to do this event. It has to be done. Women talking about money. Okay, let me start a Slack group. Okay, when I saw people in the Slack group, I began to understand what my next steps after that might be. I had a one-page website. It was not called Ladies Get Paid. It was called Women Ampersand, and a sign up. I had no emails that I was going to be sending out, but I knew enough to have give me your email if you want updates. Okay, so I did know that, but
Yeah.
I didn't have a plan. Okay, so this was how it began. You already have more than that. Okay, the thing to be solid on, like I said, though, is process. So I, for me, what's been helpful is every day I reflect on how I can do things in a more easeful way moving forward? How can I do things where I feel more grounded, right? So less chaos. How can I protect my time better? And I often find that I'm missing information. Okay. So it's not that I myself, with my willpower, needs to do it better, but that in order to make it more easeful, oh, wow, I need to do more research. Hey, I need to talk to this person. Like I'm constantly trying to figure things out on my own. Hold on now. I should go talk to my friend Brooke about how she is making tons and tons of money from her coaching. Like here I am trying to figure it out myself. I have a friend I could ask. So you'll find, I think, in this reflection at the end of the day of how could the process be more easeful? Where can I get support? Who can I get support from? That should also be part of the process. But always bringing it back to, okay, numbers of goals, not doing different things all at once. So picking batched days, priorities, and then one partner out there, like local, but I would really focus on all the ideas. How can we get it onto paper? Play around with that and feel really proud of yourself when you have figured that out. That's the whole thing. If we don't get these ideas out into content on the blog, we don't have anything. Okay. So don't even think about starting an email service right now, even though that was one of my recommendations. Put that on the back burner. It's really about ideas, transcript, paper, picking the topics. Pretend you're an editor of a famous magazine or something. I don't know. And like you're managing yourself and you've got a bunch of different departments inside you. You've got the writer, the editor, the marketer, right? You have to learn how to manage all of those departments right now. And the only way you're going to do that is with real examples. So picking real topics that you've already come up with as the ones you're most excited to put out there and just really dig into the nuances of what it takes to get it out of your head onto paper and in a finalized draft, knowing that it's going to be hard and you're going to slog through it. It will get better, but paying attention all the time. Okay, is there an easier way to do this? And don't be scared of ChatGPT. At least experiment with it for one thing. You may find you never even need to use it. For me, I never use it front facing. Okay. So I'm never copying and pasting from ChatGPT into what I send in my newsletter or put out there on the internet. But I will oftentimes use it to help inform me. It's giving me a perspective. It's like another teammate in your department who's able to weigh in on what they see as the key takeaways. So you might want to experiment with using it at least as an information thing for yourself. But again, all about experimentation, which means have fun with it. On that note, anything else you want to share? And then otherwise we'll wrap up. And I'm just so excited to see how successful you're going to be in this because it's a fun project for you to work on, and it's definitely something going to be fun for all of us to receive.
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate your time. It's really cool. And it's just so great to have have women in this space that we can help move each other forward. I'm just super appreciative.